Hello again, everybody. It's Mr. Poley here, back in action on a somewhat gloomy Wednesday morning just after 10 a.m. But I'm here to kind of pick off where we left off last time and dive back into an applications of statistics assignment that I have posted this morning and will be due this Friday, 2 days from now. It will be due by 2:30. That's the same time as our Zoom call so that we can go over this assignment and discuss it, excuse me, during that call. So please make sure you watch this video and have this assignment done by Friday. Okay, this assignment follows very similar setup to the assignment that is due today. So I'm hoping with that first round behind you under your belts, this one will go even more smoothly. All right. So I will go through the process again and explain very clearly what I'm expecting from you guys, but then it will be up to you. Okay. Before we start though, take a look at my shirt. So what part of all of this here do you not understand? What don't you understand there? I know there's a lot. You probably couldn't even see it all, but I'm going to do my best to help you understand a few things today. And progress, not perfection. So we'll do what we can. All right. So I'm going to minimize myself here and put me in the corner. Right now I'm in the corner. Hey, everybody. All right. And you should see this assignment right behind me. So again, like I said, this assignment will follow a similar setup to the previous assignment where you analyze the flatten the curve model. A copy of this assignment, again, is provided down in the bottom of the assignment right here. So you can just open up this document here, make a copy for yourself, put your name in the title, and fill out your answers in that document. Share it back with me. Easy as that, right? What could be better? So, I stand by what I said before. You need to take the time to think about what it is you're reading or looking at and make sense of it through a deeper level of thinking. Get those thinking caps on there. You guys can do this. This will continue to set you up to be better informed and a more connected member of society. Okay? And again, I want you to view a model or a diagram, which is down here in the first attachment. I want you to view that model and respond to these 3 prompts again. What do you notice? Okay, just looking at it, what can you tell me? What do you see? If you make a claim, again, make sure you can support that claim with some evidence. Now that you've noticed things, what do you wonder? What do I wonder? Okay, what are you really curious about that has you itching to learn more? And third and final for the first part of the assignment, what's really going on in this graph or in this model? Okay, you need to come up with a catchy headline that does the best at capturing the main idea. All right, and then just like the first assignment, there are some questions at the bottom of the assignment right here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. You need to respond to those on your own. Okay, this whole thing here is one assignment, and you have over 2 days to do it. So no excuses, please. All right, do your best. That's all I'm asking here. So I'm going to open up this model. Ooh, very nice, right? Pretty colorful. The first model we looked at on Monday, or today maybe, that was colorful too. The flatten the curve had a red curve, a blue curve. But now let's talk about this model, okay? Something that I notice. So I'm noticing that there are many different bubbles, many different size bubbles, right? There's red bubbles, there's green bubbles. Many of the bubbles, though not all of them, many of them are labeled, right? You see airlines way over here on the left, online grocers way over here on the right. Okay, so you've got different size bubbles, some that are labeled. Then I see right in the middle here This dotted line here up at the top says 0%. And if I look over here, there's a dotted line that says negative 50%. Over here, plus 50%. Okay, so they have set this model up to be somewhat like a number line. And if you go left from 0, like I said, you're getting negative, just like you do in real life, I guess, right? And that indicates less spending. If you go to the right, that indicates more spending. Okay, so there's different categories, maybe with more and less spending. But again, that's just something I'm noticing from what's given to me in this model. Down at the bottom here, let's get rid of this screen. It says the change in spending from 2019 for the week ending April 1st. Bubbles are sized by industry sales. Okay, so the change in spending from 2019, so last year, until this year. Well, I guess actually it does not say this year. So that brings me to something I wonder. Is this the change from 2019 to 2020? Or what is it comparing? Why would it want to compare that week of 2019 to that week of this year, 2020? What's happening and what was happening during that week that could have such drastic change in spending that statisticians like you and I would want to analyze that, right? You'll see some big things like airlines went down a lot by almost 100%. Why would that happen? Video streaming went up by maybe 40%. Food delivery up by 50%. Online grocers up by close to 80%, right? A change in 1 year. That's a pretty huge change, right? Some of these are very drastic changes. I think another important thing, of course, otherwise why would they present that to us? The bubbles are sized by industry sales. Okay, so the bubble size corresponds to how big that industry is. So looking at this then, that tells us that the biggest industry that's shown here is general merchandise and e-commerce. Supermarkets, that's another big one, the second largest. And that makes sense because Wegmans, Walmart's, Tops, Aldi, all those are supermarkets, of course, and that's a huge industry. Which, do you guys think that makes sense? That didn't really experience more or less spending from last year to this year? Something to think about there. Okay, so the first two steps I just went through, I gave you some things that I noticed and some things that I'm wondering. Okay, it's up to you guys to come up with some of those on your own, following my lead. So again, do your best with that. And the third thing, what's the third thing? What was the third thing to do? Oh yeah, come up with a catchy headline. So a catchy headline that best captures what's shown in this model. So let's see, my catchy headline, I don't know, you guys might argue that it's not the most catchy, but I would say spending trends week ending April 1st, 2019 to 2020. Right? And I guess maybe is that something I'm implying here that it's into 2020? I don't know. Maybe it's just something I already know from my prior research, but that would be my catchy headline. Spending trends and how they changed from week ending April 1st, 2019 to 2020. More spending or less spending? How do certain industries fall or grow? Right? A lot of things that you could come up with here. And it's interesting. Another thing I wonder, I guess, how long are these industries going to stay where they are? Right? That's an important thing that I'm sure most people right now are wondering. right? We've been in quarantine for a month and a half, right? 45 days. So maybe close to 7 weeks. So how will these industries fluctuate more left or right as time now goes on and as our economy tries to open back up? Right? Well, do you expect airlines, movie theaters, lodging? Do you expect those to start to make their way back toward the middle and then maybe into more spending? Or what do you think? Right? Online grocers, do you think as we open back up our society, online grocers will fall back down towards the middle? Right? Again, just many things to think about here. Right? There's really a lot going on in what might look like a somewhat simple model. I don't think it looks like a simple model, but I'm saying it might to some of you. Okay, so again, go through that process. What do you notice? What do you wonder? Come up with a catchy headline. I know you guys are all capable of all three of those things. Okay, but again, that is only the first part of the assignment. There are a few questions again at the end, 1 through 4 here, that I want you to think critically about and answer independently in at least a few sentences so we can discuss these during the Zoom call. I'm going to read these now, okay, to make sure that you can hear what they are and hopefully understand them a little bit better from hearing somebody else read them. So number 1 says, the data for this graph are credit and debit cards purchases of nearly 6 million people in the United States as tracked and analyzed by Earnest Research. Okay, so that all those bubbles were calculated by looking at debit and credit card purchases. So that means there's no cash involved there at all. What would you want to know about how the 6 million people in the data set were selected before you draw conclusions about the population as a whole? Okay, so we know 6 million people were analyzed with their spending, but what else would you want to know about these people before we can draw conclusions? That's number 1. Number 2 says make 2 lists, one with spending categories that have declined and one with the spending categories that have increased. Which categories from each list have the biggest effect on workers and businesses? And in parentheses here, that would be indicated by the size of the bubbles, something I briefly mentioned before. Which categories from each list had the biggest change in purchases? And that comes down to the percent change and where those bubbles are on that number line. Looking at both lists, which categories have had the greatest positive impact and which have had the greatest negative impact on the economy? Okay, that will definitely involve a little critical thinking, but I want to see what you guys have to say for that. Number 3, just using your eyeballs and some critical thinking, looking at the bubble size of categories that increased, the bubble size of categories that decreased, and the percent change of both. Would you say that the overall effect from the week ending April 1st, 2019 to that week of this year, would you say that's more positive or negative? Okay? And do your best to explain why. Last one, and this is a big one here. Our elected officials are wrestling with the trade-off between social distancing that puts fewer people at risk of infection but reduces spending, and opening up the country, which would increase spending and put people back to work, but would also put more people at risk of infection. Given what you see in these graphs, write a letter or email to a government official, could be your mayor, your governor, or President Trump, recommending what you think should be done regarding when interventions should be eased. Use what you've noticed from these graphs to persuade them. So, do you think we should open up tomorrow? Do you think we should open up in 2 weeks? In 2 months? In the middle of the summer? What do you think? Right? Again, maybe based on that first model we looked at, looking at this model, write a somewhat persuasive letter I'd say somewhat, just as best as you can, write that letter to one of our government officials explaining what you believe to be the best. And that brings us to the end of the assignment. Right? That's not so bad. So again, you walk through the process of notice, wondering, coming up with a catchy headline, and then do your best to respond to those 4 critical thinking questions at the end. This is one assignment here, which is taking the place of one block class. So that's about 85 minutes of thinking and work here. Okay, it shouldn't just take you 5 minutes. So please take your time, do your best, and love math. And I'll talk to you guys soon about this. Okay, stay safe, stay healthy. Goodbye.